My grandparents and great-grandparents survived the Armenian Genocide. My parents were displaced by the Lebanese Civil War. My brother served in the U.S. Army from 2002 to 2004. Genocide, war, and their aftermaths have shaped my family's journey for over a century, and as a writer, I have sought ways to use poetry and prose to unpack the implicated questions of identity, solidarity, and social justice. As genocide is perpetrated today against Armenians, Palestinians, Rohingya, and countless others, how do we write? What should we say? Why? Since Artsakh's ethnic cleansing in September of 2023, I have tried to use poetry to explore and question a genocide's mechanics and similarities to other forms of dehumanization, particularly with the rise of autocratic tendencies here in the United States. I'll be reading two poems tonight, one now and one a little later. The first poem is about the first visit I took to Western Armenia, our indigenous land, in 2018 to see all the places where my family lived: Adana, Hajun, Kharpert, Zara, Bolis. 3 years after that trip, I became a father and have been reflecting a lot on the ripple effects of a genocide's aftermath and how it manifests in our communities, cultures, and relationships. This poem is the result of that 2018 trip, of fatherhood, and of a lifetime remembering what our people endured then and what they endure today. This poem is called Phantom Tongue. Somewhere in the world, my history is erased. My name is changed. Raffi Wartanian, Gula Raffi Wartanian becomes Raffi Wartanian. Wartanian, like a tan on your wart, stylized melanoma signifying the end. Or Wartanian, a song of war, death, destruction, murder, nothing I stand for baked into the moniker. Not here, Wartanian, valiant sons and daughters defiantly defending a people only to have their nom de guerre lathered like suds swirling down the drain of the car wash on Jackson Street under an American sun baking flesh white. Calls for change, or at least a discount, stifled by the heat. Somewhere in the world, my ancestors' creations are destroyed. Crossstones of a medieval Armenian necropolis on the banks of the Araxes River reduced to rubble. A stone church, Khulavank, in the golden wheat fields of Kharpert, on its crumbling column defiled with a spray-painted swastika. Homes in Hajun, Adana, Zara, Kumkapa, never to be known, only to be evoked during visits with maps in verse. Their names are ghosts who saunter in meadows of the amnesia I recall, so that sometime in the future I can sit down with my boy, look him in the eye, and have the talk. Will the news destroy his innocence the day I tell him that we were, are, will be objects of genocide? How will he come to understand the unfathomable? A series of moments by osmosis, lighting candles at the church, the old typewriter hanging on the wall, a grainy image of emaciated corpses, their sunken eyes somehow familiar, protesters demanding recognition from violent nations we now or once called home. Or will he already know? Was it coded in his bones? When will he learn that the imposed tension between erasure and endurance is not just a thing of the past, but a choice today between internalizing the oppressor's will and facing the question, answers illuminating a path fraught with the promise of truth's daggered thorns, poking holes in our language, endangered like a fading phantom living in my throat. Gogortas, lezus, spoken to my child, hearing him voice the revenant. On his tongue, does she live or die? Maybe both. Maybe none of it matters, especially once we're erased. Have we already arrived? And once we've arrived, can we finally begin to return? In erasure poetry, we seek source material to erase in order to create a new and often subversive meaning. So in the erasure poem that I'll share, I wanted to erase a text from the president of Turkey who attempts to distort and misrepresent the truth of the Armenian Genocide. In other words, with this poem, my intention is to erase the eraser in order to expose the deeper and more problematic dynamics veiled behind the language of bureaucracy and statecraft. This is what it looks like. So you can see the source text is the message from the Prime Minister on the events of 1915. The 24th of April carries a particular opportunity. It is the last Armenian citizen. Any conscientious, fair, and humanistic approach to the issue requires suffering as ethnicity. Hierarchies experienced a Turkish proverb, duty to the Ottoman Empire. In Turkey, 1915 is the requirement of democracy and modernity. Perceive this climate of allegations. Understand historical issues. It is natural with empathy from all sides. The Republic will continue to every idea in line with the 1915 as a matter is inadmissible. Our pain is a humane responsibility. Millions of people lost the world during compassion. In today's world, antagonisms are a common future. With the establishment of a scholarly manner to be carried out by Turkish historians, the events of 1915 are at the service of historians. To Turkey, the people, regardless of common values, create a belief about the past with belief that the Armenians rest in peace. We pay tribute under conditions. Thank you.